Hello Internet, my name is Caretaker. Welcome again to my channel. Today we're going to be going over chapter 2 of the Holy Bible. Last time we went over chapter 1 of Genesis here, and we found out quite a good bit, such as God's fetish for watching things have sex. But anyway, just like yesterday, we have the chapter 2 here. I've got my drinks. I've got my notes ready this time, and we're just going to go ahead and go straight into it. Once again, welcome to my channel, and let's get started. Alright, chapter 2. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. Say hello to my cat, ladies and gentlemen. Her name is Church. And apparently she wanted to join us. Can you see her? Say hello, Miss Kitty. Meow. Say hello. Alright. Let's continue. Alright. And God blessed the seventh day, and he sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. And verse 4 continues and goes on. It says, These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, and the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So we got two trees. We got the tree of knowledge, good and evil, and the tree of life. Okay. Overlooked that part before. I thought there was only one. Anyway, we'll go over all that at the end. And a river went out of Eden to the water the garden, and from thence it was parted, and became into four heads. The name of the first, and I'm probably going to butcher these names, so my apologies in advance. Pison. Pison. That is it. Next page. Finally past the first page. Which compasseth the whole land of, and here's another one, Havilah, Havilah, where there is gold. So apparently there's gold in Havilah. And the gold of that land is good. There is bdellium, and the onyx stone. Forgive me for butchering some of these names. It's not my intention. And the name of the second river is Gihon. I thought Havilah was the second river, but apparently that's something else. Okay, so the land of Havilah. Okay, my apologies. Gihon is the name of the second. It is that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. Okay, Ethiopia I've heard of before. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel. Hiddekel? Hiddekel. So make of it what you will. That is it, which goeth toward the east of Assyria. And the fourth river is Euphrates. Some of these words, man. But this is from a different language, Hebrew, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess that just goes to show you the language, the whole transition from one language to another. Anyway. Okay, so, and the fourth river is Euphrates. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. And the Lord God said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him and help meet for him. Oh man, language barriers, I tell you. This is not how we talk these days. And out of the ground Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. So, that's very interesting. That's a lot of creatures. Seriously. Especially if we go, like, dinosaurs and stuff also. Some people argue that dinosaurs was made back in the whole Eden and everything, but I'm getting ahead of myself, and that's supposed to be saved for after we get done, which we don't have much further, so let's continue. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an help meet for him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from the man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Thereof shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife. Cleave? Unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Alright, well that's really interesting. Man. Alright, well, that's chapter 2. We are now on chapter 3, and we'll be doing chapter 3 in the next video. Yeah. So let's go over some of the stuff that we learned then. Alright, so first off, and it should be obvious to a lot of people, and I know it's going to be obvious to a lot of the atheists who read this, but most creationists and stuff, they don't really think about this, I guess, but at any rate, an all-powerful God should not have to rest, be it the seventh day or not. That part doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, I guess because he just wanted to, observe his creations, but we'll get more to that in a second, but basically my point is that an all-powerful God should not have to rest. Even asserting that would mean that he's not an all-powerful God. So, I mean, there's not really anything else I can go over from that. It's just, he's not an all-powerful God if he has to rest. It's just bottom line, I mean, I get that he just made the earth and all the animals and everything. I get that. And I imagine that'd take a toll on anybody who's not all-powerful. But an all-powerful being should not need rest. Anyway, verse 5 says, there was no man to till the earth. Despite God making man in chapter 1, verse 27 on the 6th day. So, what? Because it says, chapter 1, verse 27, on the 6th day, God makes man. along with all the other creatures. I think he made on the fifth day, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and look. But he made all the other creatures, and then he made man on the next day. And then here on verse 5 in chapter 2, he's saying there's no man to till the ground. That's a pretty big contradiction. That is a pretty big contradiction. All right. Feel free to talk about it in the comments. I'd like to hear your opinion on this matter. The only thing I could really guess at all, and I'm being really charitable if I do this, and that is to say that what's going on here is basically going into more detail about what happened during the time that he was creating the planet, the heavens and the earth and so forth and so on. That's the only thing that I can think of that would, help that verse out at all. It doesn't really say that anywhere, but that's the only thing. That's the only way this verse makes even the smallest amount of sense. Seriously. Again, feel free to talk about it in the comments. I'd like to hear all of your opinions on these in the comments. Anyway, let's go on. It says, he creates man from dust and gives him a soul on verse 7. So, to this day, despite all of our technology and our scientific knowledge and everything, and just everything we've done, medical field, the whole 9 yards, we have not yet discovered anything even remotely close to a soul. Not even remotely close. There is this experiment that I'm familiar with. Forget what exactly it's called, but it's like something like 20 something grams experiment where it's supposedly this missing 20 some odd grams, and there's this myth of this guy who photographed a soul leaving a body, but none of it is like really accepted, And if it was like an actual thing, it would be accepted in the scientific field, and it's not. So yeah. But and I kind of get the whole creates man from dust thing. If you burn us, we turn to ash. That's not really what I'd say the same thing as dust, but we do turn to ash if you char us. Creates man from dust and gives him a soul. By breathing into his nostrils, apparently, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, it creates man, first off. I just want to, one more thing to go over here before we move on to my next note. Creates man from dust. He creates woman from a rib. Alright? He creates woman from a rib. For that matter, he has to put Adam to sleep in order to do this. Also, he has to put Adam to sleep, take a rib from him, sew up his flesh, and then turn the rib into a woman. All right, that's a lot of non-godly things going on there, until he gets to the part where he actually turns the rib into a woman. But having to put Adam to sleep is not godly. All right, there's nothing showing great power about having to put Adam to sleep like that. An all-powerful God should be able to snap his fingers and poof the rib in Adam painlessly out into his hand or wherever he needed it, and then poof a woman into existence. An all-powerful God, however, should not have even had to take a rib from Adam at all. He should have just been able to poof Eve into existence, the same way he did man. Which actually kind of brings up another question. Earlier, when we was going through chapter 1, it was saying God was poofing all these beings into existence, all these fish, cattle, man, fowls, And then he told him, be fruitful and multiply. But looking at this, if he only made man and not woman, did he make woman for the other creatures? Did he make woman at the same time as the male versions of each of those creatures? Because it doesn't really say. But it does say in chapter 1, it says he made he, him, male and female, he, them, which again goes into contradiction. But anyway, my point is that he creates man, has to put man to sleep, has to take the rib out of man, and then he has to sew up the wound, which again, he should just be able to snap his fingers and sew up and have the wound heal on its own. He shouldn't even have to sew it. And then, make woman. An all-powerful God should not have to go through that many steps. He should just one simple click and woman comes into being. Which I thought that it was Christianity, but apparently I'm wrong. But there's supposed to be another woman before Eve even came into being. Her name was Lilith. I forget which religion that's actually from. I thought it was Abrahamic, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm gonna have to do more research on this matter with Lilith. Maybe I'll make a standalone video about Lilith here in the near future. But anyway, all right. So let's move on to the next one then. All right. So nowhere up until this point does it actually say that another day has passed. So unless we give it the credit like we were talking about earlier, and we say that this is just kind of going over everything that happened throughout the creation, then another day has not passed. And so we see God working on the seventh day, despite the fact that in verse 2 it says that he has to rest, or that he does rest. But yeah, it says, let's see here. He says, first off, we put stupid man, like these newly made creatures, no concept of good and evil, into being. And then he puts this tree, this thing that would turn him against man, and, the tree of knowledge, good and evil, in the same spot in Eden. He says, you can eat from any other tree, but you cannot eat from this tree. That's awfully tempting. All right? And an all-powerful, all-knowing God should know that they would eat from that tree. Quite frankly, it was inevitable. But that comes up in chapter 3, when it goes into Adam and Eve and the talking snake and everything. So we'll revisit this topic on chapter 3. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. All right, so then it goes through the rivers and everything. I'm not really going to comment on a whole bunch of that. I do want to do a separate video to research those rivers and those lands and see if we even have any kind of real history of those places. I can't say for certain that I'm going to do that. It is something that I would like to visit, but I want to get more into this first. So we might revisit the rivers and those lands that were mentioned there between verse 8 and 21 later in the near future. But the final point here that we're going to look at, let's see here. Oh, we actually already went over that. All right, so we're done. Well, then we will get more into the Adam and Eve thing in the coming up video, which will be the next video here in chapter 3. Probably going to wind up doing that either tomorrow or the next day, so look forward to that. Once again, my name is Caretaker. I have been taking care of you here today. I've been your host. If you like my videos, please like and share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I am up on Patreon if you want to support me, if you really like my videos. It's not completed just yet. We are going to be reworking it a little bit, try and edit a few things. But yeah, thank you for your time. Come here, Miss Kitty. Say goodbye to the audience. All right, y'all. Break the silence. Question everything.